Hello, YouTube. This is Mike. So, I want to ask you a question. Why do you think the majority of the comments on this channel, like by majority, I mean like 98%, why do you think the majority of the comments and the discussion on this channel have to do with the borderline? Why does the borderline hoover us? Why do the borderlines? Why, if all they want is love, then why do they reject us? Have you ever noticed that they do this and they do that? And yes, my borderline did this. And why do you think we spend all this time talking about the borderlines, but we don't talk about ourselves? Well, I'm not asking this question in any kind of judgmental way because I get it. I was there. But I think it underscores what the real problem is. We're not asking the right questions. When it comes to how we can recover from having been in toxic relationships, the question shouldn't be why the toxic person did toxic things. The question should be, why were we with them? Why were we attracted to them? Why did we stay with them? Why are we still thinking about them? Why is it that for people who have gotten out by whatever means, whether they were discarded or whether they chose to leave, why is it that it is so hard to let go? Why are we not able to get the kind of closure that most people get in relationships and move on? These are the kinds of questions we should be asking. But the fact that we're not asking those questions really shows what the problem is. And it means that we have the same issue that the borderline has, which is we're running away from ourself. That what the borderline offers us is an escape from our unresolved feelings. But then some of you are going to say, no, you don't understand. Before I met the borderline, I was fine. I didn't need anything. I didn't need anyone. Well, what the borderline will bring to the surface will be whatever is inside of you. So while you may have the belief that you don't need to run away from yourself, the truth is that somebody who is comfortable with themselves, has love within themselves, they don't chase after toxic relationships. They recognize them, and if they don't simply have the ability to not attract these kinds of relationships, then when these kinds of people come into their life, they recognize them immediately. So if you got involved with a borderline, it means that there was something inside of you and they saw it and they pulled it out of you. And what they saw was your desire to run away from yourself, your desire to not be in your own skin and to have your own feelings, so that you could project all of your your uncomfortable feelings onto the borderline. And they become your life. And even after the relationship, quote, ends, because as you know, nothing ever ends with them. Nothing is ever resolved. Even then, you still keep thinking about the relationship. Some of you, a lot of you, months, even years after the relationship, you still can't stop thinking about them. You're still obsessed with being with them and why didn't they, or you're angry with them. It's the same thing. Love and hate are not opposites. They're two sides of the same coin. You can't hate somebody if you don't love them first. You can't hate somebody if you don't want something from them. The only time that you can actually not care about somebody is when you don't want anything from them. The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is apathy, no feeling. When you don't care, now you have the opposite of love. So if you're angry and you think that your anger means that you no longer, want, if that's how you tell yourself, no, I don't care about them anymore. In fact, I hate them. It means that you're still attached. Because hate attaches you even more strongly than love. So I just want to throw that out there. In my experience, the best way to recover is to look for the ways to let go of the obsession. Now, if you have been infected by this toxic dynamic of being with a borderline, then it's going to be impossible for you just to simply decide to turn it off. So those of you listening to me going, yeah, I'm just going to stop caring, and yeah, I'm just going to do that, my experience is it doesn't work that way. Just a couple days ago, I had food poisoning. It was really awful. Luckily for me, I had some antibiotics. Took the antibiotics and went away. So we have to find the antibiotics for the infection that we have, which is that toxic relationship with the borderline. So the antibiotics for that is the three-pronged approach. I talk about that in detail here on this channel. So click the join button. When you do, you will have access to a new playlist of videos that are only for members. And in that playlist, I go in depth teaching you how to flip your mind around. Because if you've been with a borderline or a cluster B, it means that you have been trained and programmed to completely flip your thinking upside down. And until that thinking gets put right side back up again, it stays flipped. And there's 6 hours of video on there. And in the last video, I actually give you a practical physical meditation that will shift your brain. It'll shift your brain chemistry. And then in the second meditation, I give you a practical breath technique that will allow you to unify your brain and your emotions. And I go into detail talking about the three-pronged approach that I've used in order to achieve complete healing in terms of my relationship with my borderline ex. You can heal completely. And if you want to do that, I encourage you to join. If you haven't already done so, subscribe and hit the bell button. All right, that was just my thought for the day. I hope everybody is staying safe, taking care of yourself, and I'll see you guys very soon.